If you have tennis elbow, you've probably tried the standard advice: ice it, take ibuprofen, and above all, rest it. So you take 2 weeks off, your elbow finally stops aching, and you head back to the court. Within 10 minutes of hitting, the pain is back, just as bad as before. Why? Because everything we intuitively think about tennis elbow is wrong. The medical term for tennis elbow is lateral epicondylitis. That itis suffix implies inflammation. But if we look at the tissue under a microscope, there are virtually no inflammatory cells. What you actually have is angiofibroblastic degeneration and collagen disarray. Think of a healthy tendon like a heavy-duty steel cable, with all the fibers perfectly aligned to handle stress. In tennis elbow, those fibers are scrambled and frayed. When you rest for 2 weeks, that frayed tendon doesn't actually heal. It just stops being irritated. The moment you stress it again, it fails. If it isn't inflamed, why does it throb like crazy? Because your tendon has essentially rewired itself. Studies show that degenerated tendon tissue becomes loaded with pain-inducing chemicals, specifically substance P and calcitonin gene-related peptide. Your tendon has become chemically hypersensitive. It hurts intensely, even when it looks perfectly normal from the outside. This isn't a normal injury where you roll your ankle. It swells and it heals. Tennis elbow is technically a failed healing response. Tendons degenerate when they are subjected to repeated loading without sufficient time to recover. Biology has a speed limit. When you ask the tendon to repair itself faster than biology allows, over and over again, the repair process itself eventually breaks down. You lose tensile strength, the collagen fibers turn into a disorganized mess, and you are officially injured. If you do play tennis, about half of you will get this at some point, and there is one specific stroke that is the biggest culprit. Players who use a one-handed backhand have a significantly higher incidence of tennis elbow than those who use two hands. The reason is simple biomechanics: load sharing. In a two-handed backhand, the force of the ball impact is dissipated through two arms. In fact, the non-dominant arm takes the brunt of the force, shielding your dominant elbow. With a one-handed backhand, your dominant forearm has to absorb 100% of the shock alone. But it's not just about the stroke count, it's about contact precision. If you strike the ball outside the racket's sweet spot, the racket twists violently in your hand. This sends harsh, high-frequency vibrations directly down the shaft and right into your elbow tendon. Two players hitting the exact same number of backhands per week can have totally different outcomes based purely on how consistently they hit the sweet spot. And don't ignore your serve. If you aren't bending your knees and driving up with your legs efficiently, you end up pulling through with your trunk and arm to generate power. All that missing leg power has to be made up by forcing massive stress through the elbow and shoulder. So if rest doesn't work and anti-inflammatories don't work, how do we fix it? We have to force the tissue to remodel, and we do that through controlled loading. Current rehab science is clear. Exercise therapy is the single most effective management strategy for this condition. We start with something that feels totally backwards: isometric holds. An isometric hold means contracting the muscle without actually moving the joint. You bend your elbow to 90 degrees, lift your wrist slightly, and use your other hand to push down against it. You resist that push at about 70% of your maximum effort for 30 to 45 seconds. Why do we do this? Because heavy isometric holds produce a massive analgesic effect. They shut down those pain chemicals in the tendon without actually putting the tendon through a painful range of motion. It provides strong, short-term pain relief, giving us a window to start the real work. After a few weeks of isometrics, we move to eccentric loading. This is a drop-and-catch motion. You take a light dumbbell, use your good hand to lift your injured wrist into the starting position, and then slowly lower the weight using only the injured arm. You are loading the tendon while it lengthens. Science shows that eccentric and isometric contractions produce the largest effect in reducing pain and triggering that disorganized collagen to rebuild itself properly. Here is the reality check. Actual tendon remodeling takes 6 to 12 weeks of progressive loading. You have to put in the work. But I want to leave you with one incredibly encouraging piece of data. The probability of recovering from tennis elbow stays roughly constant throughout the first year. Meaning, if you've been suffering for 6 months without proper treatment, Your chance of recovering in the next 3 months is no lower than someone who just got injured 3 weeks ago. There is no too late cutoff. Delayed treatment doesn't doom you, but passive waiting doesn't help you either. Loading the tendon is what actually moves the needle. Stop resting, start loading, and get your elbow back. But please, if you are under any doubt, consult your doctor or any medical professional. If this helped you understand your elbow pain, hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you're a one-handed or two-handed backhand player, and I'll see you in the next video.